welcome to the Sodcast. I'm Wendy Sod, your host. So today the two cases I'm going to show you in this video, both were solved using DNA and genealogy firms. So in recent years, genealogy has become huge in solving cold cases. And so what does genealogy mean for cold cases? What it means is they can take DNA from a crime scene and they process it and they come up with a family tree. And in turn, by doing that, it will lead them to the murderer. And it has solved a lot of cases so far. It's so interesting to see these cases that were solved by this. But anyway, let's get right into it. So the first case I have for you takes place in Toledo, Ohio. And so back in 2017 in May, in a parked car in the 2400 block of Venice Drive, in a 1988 blue Mustang, was the body of a deceased baby located underneath the dashboard in the car. Now, this baby had been wrapped in a blanket and hidden up underneath the dash. So when the baby was found, it was clothed, like I said, wrapped in a blanket, and they couldn't determine exact age of the baby, but they estimated that the baby was between 2 and 4 months old. Now, this baby sat in the Lucas County morgue for almost 2 years before this baby will be identified. So in 2019, the cold case investigators opened this case up. Well, it wasn't a closed case, but they decided to have the DNA from the case reanalyzed. And so they did. They sent this off to one of these genealogy firms, I believe called Advanced DNA. And it was determined that the baby belonged to a woman by the name of Jenna Cisnaros. I'm probably saying that wrong. Or Cisnaros, something like that. And the father of the baby being Jacob Cisnaros. Something. Anyway, you get where I'm coming from. So, at that time in 2019, they bring the couple in, Jacob and Jenna Cisnaros. Stop saying the name. Jesus Christ. Okay, being serious now. They bring the couple in and start questioning them. And immediately, Jacob, he clams up, and Jenna, the only statement she will give is that she didn't give birth to any baby, that, you know, she wasn't even pregnant then. So, okay, so like I said, she denied being pregnant at the time and giving birth to either one of these babies. But they got a search warrant for her phone and for her Facebook account. And there were posts on Facebook referring to giving birth to a baby girl. In these text messages, there was also evidence that she had texted a friend of hers stating that she gave birth in October of 2017 at Flower Hospital in Toledo. And the investigators could not find any evidence of that whatsoever, no record of her giving birth at that hospital. And then another text sent to that same friend, I believe, she stated that in November, I think November 4th, that the baby had a heart condition and was transferred to a hospital in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and had died at this Ann Arbor hospital. And again, no evidence whatsoever was found of this. She denies everything. They obtain a search warrant for the couple's property, and in searching the home, they discover that There is evidence of a home birth that had happened in the house. And I guess the evidence was found on furniture in the home as well as on some household items. From that, they determined that, you know, she obviously didn't give birth in the hospital. Upon further searching of the property, it was discovered in a PT Cruiser that was owned by Jacob. After searching that, these guys find a second baby's body. I mean, come on. Nobody questioned anything about these babies. I'm blown away, okay? So they find baby number 1 in 2017, baby number 2 in 2019 in this PT Cruiser, and the situation is almost identical. The baby had been wrapped in bedding from the house. It had been stashed up under the dashboard of the car, just like the other case, and it appeared that the baby was a newborn baby. I believe the first baby was a male and the second baby was a female. So these two, after Jenna is confronted with this information, she still is denying it. She's not confessing to anything. You know, they both immediately lawyer up, and this case ends up going to trial, I believe in 2020, and he ends up only getting 11 years, and she ends up getting, I've seen two different, I've seen 25 years and 35 years, but either way it goes, they were charged with two counts of manslaughter, child endangerment, and obstruction of justice. And the couple also has 3 children of their own, and I just was reading that one of the statements given by him on the day he was sentenced just made me want to vomit. He stated that he didn't apologize to anyone. He just stated that he's very proud of who he is and the father that he's become in raising his 3 children that he did raise. Never mind, you killed 2 babies, you and your wife. Forget about that. So anyway, he is eligible for parole in 2028. Let's hope that he doesn't get out anytime soon. But he, I guess, during the trial was, because it happened during COVID, I guess they let him out on an ankle monitor. I seen one place where it stated that she also was let out on ankle monitor, but then I seen contradictory story where she wasn't. She was kept behind bars, so I'm not sure there. But either way it goes, that was not a fun time for him or anyone, knowing that this maniac is out here running around free. I mean, people were just furious over the situation. But they got their justice, I think. I don't think he quite got long enough. I think he was just as culpable as she was, and obviously he was aware of, you know, what was going on. So that is the conclusion of that case. So the second case I have for you is very, very similar. This takes place in Red Wing, Minnesota, back in 1999. The body of a newborn baby was found in the Mississippi River. And this baby was not identified right away. And it too was also kept in the morgue and with DNA collected so that they could eventually, you know, figure out whose baby it was and who to hold accountable for the murder or death of the baby. So 4 years later, in 2003, 4 teenage girls are down at Lake Pepin in Minnesota. It's like a reservoir to the Mississippi River, and they're just hanging out there, and they come across a gruesome sight. Okay, so they find a baby, deceased, still with the umbilical cord attached. And they obviously, you know, call police right away, and they get this baby, and they determine at that time in 2003 that this baby and baby number 1 from 1999, 4 years earlier, were related. Yes, related. So, okay, here we go again. We got 2 babies, 1 mama, 2 dead babies, 1 mama. What is wrong with these mamas? I don't get it. So, time goes by with it being unsolved, having no clue who these babies belong to, but these investigators did not give up. They wanted to give these babies names and proper burials, and they continued to push on. And in 2020, they decided to have the DNA reanalyzed with a genealogy firm. And lo and behold, the family tree was branched, and it led right back to Jennifer Matters, who was 50 years old at the time. And so they go to her, they bring her in, and she too, just like our first mama in this story, well, I was never pregnant. I didn't give birth to any babies. So stupid. So, they attempt to get her DNA, and she refused. So they end up getting a search warrant, and she was forced to give her DNA. And at that time, it was proven that not only baby 1, but baby 2 was also her babies. And when she's confronted with this info, she just full on confesses her story, I guess. Whether we believe it or not, you tell me. But so she says in, I shouldn't laugh, but she says in her statement that back in 1999, and during that time period of both pregnancies, she was just having a really hard time, and her life was chaotic, and she had 2 other children, and that her mental health wasn't good. She was doing a lot of drinking. She was doing drugs. She was just, in her words, a lot of stupid things. Now, this just makes me cringe. She's referring to the murder of her babies as doing stupid things. Unbelievable. So, she says she just didn't even realize that she was pregnant with the first one. Like, I guess she says she was too drunk. That's drunk. I mean, if that's really drunk. Now, I've had a few beers in my time, and I've been pretty drunk. But I didn't wake up 9 months later, and well, yeah, I did. I guess I would. Okay. I mean, to not notice you're pregnant for 5 months because you're so drunk, that's just drunk, okay? So, she says one morning, she wakes up and she starts bleeding. And she gets up like everything's normal. She gets her other 2 kids ready for the day. She drops one off at school. She drops the other one off at daycare. And she returns to the home. And she gives birth to this baby in the bathroom, severs the umbilical cord herself, and per her account, she says the baby was blue, not breathing, not crying, that she assumed the baby was dead. And so she panicked. She loaded up the baby. She drove down to this boat dock on the Mississippi River where these boat houses are lined. And she just tosses the baby into the river. Just insane. So with pregnancy number 2, she states that she did know she was pregnant. But with her life being so chaotic, she just didn't know what to do with this baby, and she just couldn't keep it. She couldn't take care of it. And, you know, there's just no other option than murder, right? So she gives birth to the second baby in her bathroom, severing the umbilical cord herself. She says this baby was born alive. She then loads the baby up in the car, drives back down to the same lake, okay, Lake Pepin, where she gently lays the baby onto the beach. Okay, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying it for a minute. I think it's crap. We're talking December in Minnesota. Okay, now I looked up the temperature on that very day, December 7th in 2003. And the temperatures that day were between 28 and 35 degrees. 28 the low, 35 the high. So very, very cold. And, you know, she leaves this baby out there with the hopes that somebody will find it and save it and just take it to safety and raise it and it'll be happy and no worries and nobody will ever find out that she... sick. Puke. I mean, what did she expect leaving a newborn baby in freezing cold temperatures? How long did she actually think that baby was going to survive? I mean, ridiculous. So, you know, they're not buying her crap either. So it turns out that Jennifer Matters ends up getting charged with manslaughter for the second baby and a few other charges, but she did not get charged with the death of the first baby because they could not determine whether the baby was still alive or dead when she threw the baby in the water. Therefore, I guess, you know, if your baby's dead, you can just toss it in the river and no consequences. So she ends up getting going to trial, and I could only find that she's facing 40 years. Her case was actually set to play out, I believe, in July of this year, 2022, and it said that she was facing 40 years, but I have not seen and I dug and dug and dug and cannot see where this trial has happened yet or where she's been sentenced. So I don't know. It's just a crazy story. They initially had set her bond or her bail at $1.5 million. Then her lawyer threw a fit about that, wanted it lower because she had these other two kids at home to raise, and how are they going to get by without her? And they ended up lowering her bail to $150,000, and I believe that she did get out on bail, and the judge ended up making a statement that he thinks at that price that she's not a flight risk, that she will show up to court on the day, and that she's not a threat to community. So this is just gross to me. Yeah, I'm not a judge, so I'll shut up. But I'm going to show you some little pictures here of her with some of her statements she made in court that just made my stomach turn. One saying that she deserves forgiveness and that she's not the person that she was back then. And, you know, I read some other statements that she said that she deserves leniency because she has changed her life. Just a bunch of horse crap. You know, these people do this shit and then expect, because so many years has passed, that they're just not responsible for it anymore, or not, shouldn't be held as accountable as, you know, as they are. I just don't understand it. I think you just toss them in prison, throw away the key, you know. I don't know. My opinion. So that concludes these 2 cases, guys. And I think it's so fun to learn about how genealogy plays a part in solving these cold cases. Like, maybe I'll do a video about that. All the cases that were solved by genealogy in recent years. I mean, it's just insane. So that is it for today, guys. And thank you for joining me. And I will see you on my next video. Bye.